How do we manage a situation in factorizing when we have different letters and also when it's different letters and more than two terms? Because that's all we've looked at so far, the idea of two terms and a single letter. Even if the single letter is repeated in the case of, well, x squared or a squared. But let's just see that even when the expressions look uglier or more complex, the logic we've been going through will apply and it makes the questions doable. Let's focus. And if you look at these and you think, hey, I can do this because the idea is factorize, get the highest common factor of the numbers, and then get highest common factor of individual letters, okay? If you think you can nail this, go for it. If you want to watch through and work with me first and then do a set, that's you have that choice as well. I will begin, so you have a chance to pause and do it for yourself first, but let me get going. For the first one, I look at I look at the numbers. I'm only thinking about the numbers, and I ask myself, what's the biggest number that goes into 5 and 6? In other words, do 5 and 6 have the highest common factor? And the answer is, well, 1 is the only number that goes into 5 and 6. So there is no number to extract. You can take 1 out of every as a factor of everything, so we ignore it. So nothing for the numbers. Then I go to my next letter, the A, and they both have one A in common, so A is going to come out. And then do they have the other? There's a B in the second term, but there's the first term, sorry, but no B in the second term. There's a C in the second term, but no C in the first term, so there's no other letter in common. A is the only common factor. I take A out. And because it's only a letter term, I just need to write all the numbers and the letters that we're missing, because it all means to multiply. So 5AB, I have A, I'm missing 5B. If I multiply A by 5B, I'll get 5AB. The convention in algebra is to put numbers first, and then put the letters in alphabetical order. So we would not put A5B, we won't put 5BA. In this case, what I'm saying, we won't put A5B, we won't put 5BA. When you multiply it out, you would put 5AB. That's a good point, important point for me to mention there. And then finishing up with this, well, we have we want 6AC, which means I already have the A, so I need the 6 and the C. A multiplied by 6C would give 6AC. So I've extracted the common factor. In this case, it was just the letter A, and then everything else has gone in brackets, and I've checked what multiplying out. For number 2, let's draw a line down here and let's work in green. Again, the same process. What's the first thing I'm doing? What's the first thing you're doing every time? That's right. You're comparing the numbers. What's the biggest number that goes into 8 and 14? Quickly you realize what type of numbers they are. They're even numbers. That's right, and even numbers means that 2 goes in. Is there a number bigger than 2 that goes into 8 and 14? Does 4 work? 6? No, 2 is the highest common factor. So 2 comes out for the numbers. Now for the letters, do they have an X in common? Tick, tick. There is an X in common. X is going to come out. Do they have a Y in common? Tick, tick. Y is in common. It's a common factor. It comes out. Do they have a Z in common? No. Do they have a W in common? No. The highest common factor is 2XY. Now I go to the brackets. For the numbers, what do I multiply 2 by to get 8? I have to multiply 2 by 4. And then for the letters, I just compare. What letter is missing needs to go in the bracket. I have the X, I have the Y. What's missing is the Z, so Z goes on the inside of the bracket. Then minus 14. What do I multiply 2 by to get minus 14? 7 2s are 14, so I want minus 7. And I go through the same process, comparing the letters to see if I need to put in another letter. I have the X, tick, tick. I have the Y, yes. W is missing. W goes inside the bracket. If I was to multiply out 8, 4 2s are 8, XYZ, 8XYZ. 2 times minus 7 is minus 14, XWY, XWY. I've made my check, I'm happy. For number 3, and you're thinking, whoa, what just happened there? 3 terms, is this guy serious? Yeah, but it's the same method. We just need to make more checks, but it's the same method. We start off with the numbers. We look at the numbers. We have 6, we have a 4, we have a 12. What's the biggest number that goes into 6, 4, and 12? What kind of numbers are they again? That's right. They're even numbers. They're even numbers. 2 goes in. Anything bigger than 2, can 4 go? 4 goes into 4 and 12, but does 4 go into 6? No, and this is where the three terms makes it a bit different. You might have it working for 2 of the terms, but it has to work for all 3. So 4 is not a highest common factor. 6 can go into 6 and 12, but it can't go into 4. So the highest common factor, we can't go beyond 2. 2 is the only number that goes into all 3 numbers, and that's the check we're making. The highest common factor of all 3 is 2. Now I move on to the letters, and I'm checking. Do they have an A in common? Tick, tick, tick. Yes, they have an A in common, so A is coming out. Is there a B in common? No. Is there a C in common? No. Is there a D in common? No. So now we go to the brackets, and I work through. I want 6, so what do I multiply 2 by? I multiply it by 3. I needed A, B, I have A, so I need to put in the B. I have 4. What do I multiply 2 by to get positive 4? Yes, positive 2. I need AC. Do I have AC? I have A, so I need to put in the C. Then finally, what do I multiply 2 by to get minus 12? Yes, minus 6. I want AD. I already have A, so the D is the letter has to go in. It's just that checking and matching process. Follow this method, follow that systematic approach, numbers then letters, and you will get these right every single time. Now is your chance to practice that technique. Here's some questions for you to have a go. So now is your moment to pause, have a go at these 6 questions, and then I'll provide the answers for them. So 6 questions, which I'll provide the answers for in a moment. Thank you. Thank you. You're doing them. Brilliant. You've done them. Absolutely brilliant. It's now my turn to pop up the answers, and here they are. So solutions to the first 5 questions provided there, and you would note that I've also underlined where I was looking matching factors. So for example, for number 2, the 4 and the 8, we had the highest common factors being 4. There's no P or R. They don't share P and R. Q was the factor in common. I've highlighted that being extracted. Let's do number 6 together, and I'll run through number 6 quickly for you. I'm looking at the numbers, the 4, the 6, the 15, and I'm asking myself, is there any number that goes into 4, 6, and 15? And the answer is no. There's no common factor for 4, 6, and 15, so the numbers are to be ignored. We do have X in common. That is all these factors have in common. So the X comes out. To make 4X, I multiply by 4. I have X to get 6XZ. I'm going to put in the missing letters, the 6 and the Z. And then for 15XY, I'm using the X, so what's missing is the 15 and the Y. That is the logic we're using, because when I multiply out X times 6Z will be 6XZ, putting it number and then alphabetical order. Those are your solutions. Please mark your work. How do we do things? If you have 4 or more, so 4 or more right, mark your work, 4 or more right, you're moving on to task 19, where we start looking at expressions like these, but with lots of powers. That's where we're going to next. If you didn't get 4 or more right, stay on this video and do a few more. Here's a bit more practice for you. 3 of these questions. Try these 3. I will do them super fast in, you should have paused, and here I go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right, let's do these together. We're looking at the numbers 6 and 12, and the biggest number that goes into 6 and 12 is 6. Do they have any letters in common? Yes, there's a Y and there's a Y. No X in common, so Y is the highest common factor in terms of the letters. Anything else in common? No, so now I put in my brackets. I want 6XY. I have 6, I have Y. X is missing, so it goes in the bracket. Then minus 12y. I want 12, but I have 6. What do I multiply 6 by to get minus 12 minus 2? 6 2s are 12. I want just 12y. I already have the y. No need to put a letter or number, an additional letter. It is x minus 2 in the bracket. For number 2, any numbers in common? There's no number in the first term, so no numbers in common. Well, we understand 1, but you know the drill with 1. 1 goes into everything, we don't use it. Right. Letters, do they have an x in common? No, there's no x in common, but there is a y, and there is a z. I'll just stretch it because they have y, z in common. So outside of my bracket is going to be y, z. So y, z is outside of my bracket. I wanted x, y, z, so y, z needs to be multiplied by x. I want 3yz, positive 3yz, so yz needs to be multiplied by positive 3. There you go. That is what, if I do say so myself, that was impressive. Yeah, is that how you're feeling, you know? Look at me, I'm getting this right. Yeah, that's the feeling we want. Come on, no zigzag scrawly thing. Right, now for this big one. 3 terms. Woo! Looking at the numbers. I have a 5, I have a 20, I have 35. Any number ending in 5 or 0 is in what times tables? Yeah, 5 times tables. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. Yeah, we're sorted. So what happens is we're going to take out 5 for the numbers. Then let's look at the letters. Do they have an x in all of them? Yeah, there's an x in all of them, so x is coming out. Do we have there's no second letter in the middle term. That means the z and the y is just not going to happen. 5x is your common factor. And we put in the brackets. What do I I already have 5x. I want 5xz, 5x. I put a z or z. You tell me which letter to use. Is it z or z? I use it interchangeably. Z or z. I use it interchangeably. Z or you get it? Yo, just Z or G interchangeably. I got it. I think I'll do I'll do it one more time. Style. Let us finish the question, The question. What do I multiply 5 by to get 20? How many 5s are in 20? I want positive 20, positive 4. Only letter was an x. The x is already outside of the bracket, but don't need it. So z plus 4, and then minus 35. How many 5s in 35? I wrote it down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. So take away 7. I want x, y. I have x on the outside. So on the inside, do I put a letter? What letter? That is spot on. We put a y. Those are your answers there for the 3. And that is, this is the kind of stuff, somebody going to get a grade 5. I would expect them to pull one of these off. It does come up to 3 brackets from time. And yeah, I would expect somebody getting a grade 5 to probably pull this off. Let us move on to the more complicated one, which will be Secure 5, moving into the world of the 6. Yeah, secure, really confident 5. That is in Task 19. What happens when we have these bad boys, but with powers? X squared, y squared, whee! Let's make it happen. Boom.